It's been a while since we filmed. I know that there is a few of you wondering where the hell we've been, and I've been in Serbia rescuing a dog. Now, for those of you that have been following us for a while, you might remember when we were in Serbia, we rescued a little dog called Rosie that my mum was going to adopt, and we gave her to a shelter to sort out her vaccinations and paperwork, and then she was going to come back to the UK. But to say the last 6 months has been a nightmare would be an understatement. It was looking almost impossible to get her out of there. It was a really difficult and fraught situation, and I've just been racked with so much guilt and anxiety over it the past 6 months at the thought of just like leaving her. I feel completely responsible for her happiness and well-being, and yeah, it was looking like the only way to get her out of there was for me to physically go to Serbia myself. So seeing as it's now getting into winter and I was near New York, which was easy to fly in and out of, I met my mum in Belgrade and we went on a Rosie rescue mission. Now, if at any point we don't film for a while, or there's been a change in circumstance or something's happened, I almost always update you guys on our YouTube community tab, on our Instagram and our Facebook. So I posted on there to let you know what we're doing and what the situation was. And yeah, we were gone for a couple of weeks as we basically tried to get Rosie out of there. I'm happy to say it was a successful mission. Rosie is now home with my mum and absolutely loving life, but it has been an absolutely crazy time. I didn't film any of it. It was a very difficult situation and a very crazy week. But I have written down everything that happened in a post, which is over on our Patreon, but I've made it public so it's completely free to read. I did post it on Patreon, but there are so many of you invested in Rosie's story and invested in what happened to her that I thought it's only fair that you know what we went through to get her out of Serbia. And it's about a 10-15 minute read. I'm not going to go into it on the video or anything, so that is going to be where the story of Rosie is. I'll put a link in the description. You haven't got to sign up to Patreon to read it. You haven't got to log in or anything. Just click the link and it will take you to the post that I've written, and that will just detail everything that went on in Serbia. It's a chapter that I am very happy to say is over and is closed. And now we can get back on with the road trip, and yeah, Rosie is now happily with my mum, living her new life, and it is the biggest weight off my shoulders I can't even explain. It's caused a brief interruption to our road trip. We're now about 3 weeks behind schedule. The winter is closing in on us fast. It has changed some of our plans and what we were going to go and see and do, which I will explain. But for now, yeah, let's get back on with this road trip. We last left you in Boston, Massachusetts. Our original plan was to drive to New York City and explore the Big Apple before making our way to Washington, D.C. and Chesapeake Bay. But since arriving in Massachusetts, van life here has been hectic. This area of the US is densely populated with major city after major city, and the road systems, the lack of park-ups, the traffic jams, it takes a lot of energy to experience it. To do New York with the van and the dogs would also mean the extra logistics of doggy daycare, not least finding somewhere safe to park before even getting out into the city. After 10 days in Serbia with almost zero sleep, it was energy I just didn't have. The cold weather was also closing in and we were hugely behind schedule. So with all this combined, we made the decision to cut our losses and drive south to North Carolina. Looking on the map, this small chain of barrier islands caught our eye. They were called the Outer Banks. Endless beaches, pirates, and more stories to tell than anywhere else we'd visited. Don't they say a change is as good as a rest?
I'm really surprised by the screens they have here. Talk about advertising. Wow.
As soon as we left Vermont and made it into Massachusetts, it has been crazy, busy, unpopulated, and it kind of continues into Virginia, but as soon as we cross the border into North Carolina, it's just like the biggest like sigh of relief, and the landscape has just completely opened up. It's much more like what, agricultural, would you say?
I'd say more, yeah.
Lots of farmers markets, a lot more just wide open spaces almost as soon as you cross the border. So we have just crossed Currituck Sound across a huge bridge, and we are now officially on the Outer Banks.
There you go. That'll do. God, actually some free parking.
That is a first.
That is a first, that is a first.
We have come to the northernmost part of the Outer Banks. The reason that we've come all the way here is because there are wild horses. There are wild mustangs that roam the sand dunes here, and they're the descendants of the horses that the Spanish explorers brought over back in the 1500s.
Apparently the horses are in the northern region of the beach, which is actually quite far, so we're going to walk and hopefully try and find them.
There's horse poo.
Ah! So there's no actual road to get to this end of the beach, but if you've got a 4x4 willing to pay $50 a day, you can drive on this beach. Now we haven't got a 4x4, which is a shame, but you can drive all the way along here. Look, there's one.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that, perfect timing. Thanks.
In fact, there are that many 4x4s on the beach, it's almost like walking alongside a road. There are so many 4x4s, trucks, jeeps, little dune buggies, everything just going past all the time.
That have been taking all these tours, because you get tours that take you to, they go miles, they're like right at the end of this. Like,
how long have we been walking for?
We've been walking for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
In one direction?
In one direction. And we got to walk an hour and 20 minutes back. I think we're going to have to concede. All the horses are like right at the very end.
Scout, can you see any horses?
It's going to be a good hour and a half back, but by the time we get, it's going to start to get dark, and we need to find somewhere to park up.
We've been in the Americas for like 4 months now, and the most exciting thing that we've seen is a red squirrel. No offence to red squirrels. Admit and defeat.
Yep, we're defeated once again.
The wildlife has got the better of us once again.
The wildlife of the Americas so far.
Apart from Wales. The whales in Digby.
I keep forgetting about the whales, yeah. Okay.
That was a special one.
Yeah, so it's 3-1. 5-1 in fact. No moose, no porcupines, no wild horses.
No raccoons.
No raccoons. And
no skunks.
No bears.
No bears. It's like 10-1.
10-1.
This Jurassic Park style fence is the boundary of where the horses are, so once you get past here, there's definitely no more horses. Does anyone else keep an eye out for these on the beach? Little mermaid purses. There's loads of them here. Look at them.
Wow, they're all circling around.
Yeah, they're feeding.
Jumping up and down.
They're all feeding, yeah.
And when you were filming them, one of them popped his head straight up.
Really?
Yeah.
We've just seen a huge pod of dolphins just offshore. They were so close, and they were feeding, and they were like swimming around in circles and splashing and jumping out. Oh, that made up for not seeing the horses.
That did, didn't it? That was awesome.
So maybe it's not such bad wildlife look after all.
Well spotted, babe. That was you that found that.
I did, yeah. You couldn't miss them now.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Jumping out.
The islands of the Outer Banks are glorified sandbars, at one point as narrow as 150 yards. Until the 1930s, they were only accessible by ferry, leaving them relatively isolated from mainland America for centuries. The language here developed its own dialect, sounding more similar to Irish or English than American. Called Oakwood Brogue, is only spoken by a few residents now and will unfortunately soon die out.
I have a lot of people that think I'm from Australia or Ireland, yeah. You can look at these boats and see crabs. You know, the first people came here,
from England and Ireland, Scotland. It's just stayed isolated.
Nowadays, beautiful sweeping bridges connect all but one of the islands. This has got to be one of America's greatest roads. It's been really difficult to find freshwater fill-ups on the east coast of the States, but it looks like there is a dump station with fresh water right in the middle of these islands. So we're gonna go and see, and fingers crossed, we can use it. Definitely one of our more scenic water fill-ups. We're driving through the most incredible sunset. We've just crossed an epic bridge over onto Pea Island. The sand dunes are literally coming right onto the road. Never driven anywhere like this before. Okay. Ow, you're biting my leg.
Hello, you guys.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, this is... What is it about?
What you been looking for? Is this what you needed?
This is what I needed. Big time.
Think when it's going to be in Baja, babes, every morning.
Oh, and it's warm.
Should we just head to Baja now?
Yeah.
So this is where we ended up last night. The main road just there. The sea just there. It is absolutely beautiful. So quiet. The road didn't pick up again until about, I don't know, 5:30 this morning. It's going to be a good day today. Where's my phone? Oh, it's all over there.
We are almost at the very southern reaches of the Outer Banks Islands. Where we were parked last night, you could just make out Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. I think it's the tallest lighthouse in the States, and it's got this really awesome like black and white striped kind of look to it.
It's huge. When you're at the car or the van, it doesn't feel like it until you get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it just like keeps going up and up and
Yeah.
up.
But just look at the base of it.
Absolutely enormous. If you're saying that the Outer Banks are just like the narrowest strips of sand sticking out into the Atlantic, they are endlessly fascinating. There are so many cool stories here, not least the fact that it's home to like wild Mustang horses, that they've developed kind of their own accent separate to American. This lighthouse was built because the seas around here are incredibly treacherous. There's shifting sandbars due to different sea currents. And in fact, there are so many shipwrecks along here that it's called the graveyard of the Atlantic. And not only was it treacherous seas, but these islands were also home to wreckers, people that would tie lanterns onto like horses' necks and then walk the horses up and down the beach at night. The bobbing of the lanterns in the dark to people out at sea would look like a ship bobbing in the water, so the captain would sail the boat towards it and they would get wrecked on the sandbar, and then the wreckers would go and loot and steal what they could from the shipwreck. Lots of maritime history in this place. It was a favourite of Sir Walter Raleigh, Sir Francis Drake's been here, and the islands were also home to Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard the Pirate.
Arr. Why are pirates called pirates? Because they are.
I'm not putting that in.
This is the thinnest part, see?
Yeah, look at this, we've got the sea here and the sea literally right there.
This is a s'mores brownie. Oh my god.
We're officially heading north now. We're going to be leaving the Outer Banks, unfortunately. We just stopped off at a bakery to get some fuel for the road. But tomorrow is American Thanksgiving. It's going to be our first Thanksgiving, and we are so grateful that we're going to be spending it with one of our patrons, Bill and his family. They have very, very kindly invited us to share Thanksgiving with them. So, we'll have seen them by the time this goes up. So we've picked up little handmade cherry tart or cherry pie. This is really heavy, like really, really weighty. So, time to leave North Carolina and head to Norfolk, Virginia. There's actually a digger scooping sand off the road. Wow, look at that.
couldn't leave the Outer Banks without coming here. I wasn't exaggerating when I said these islands are full of fascinating history and cool stories. One of the most famous being that it's the site of the Roanoke colony, a colony that disappeared without trace in the 1500s. One of the greatest mysteries of the New World.
The Roanoke colony was to be the first English settlement in the New World. It was formed with 115 settlers in roughly this location. When the British returned with fresh supplies a couple of years later, they found no trace of the colony or the settlers, apart from the word Croatoan carved onto a wooden post. There are many theories as to what happened to the colony, but the truth is that no one knows. They simply disappeared without a trace.
It's amazing how much history has been crammed into such a tiny little place, all on this like tiny spit of sand. Happy Thanksgiving! It is our first Thanksgiving in the States. We're heading towards Bill's now. We thought we were just going for Thanksgiving lunch, but he sent us a message last night asking if we can make it over there first thing in the morning. He says our friends have made a football field. The boys will be playing turkey bowl football with a cowboy breakfast after. You'll get to see a bit of an all-American tradition. So I have no idea what that entails. I have no idea what Thanksgiving in general entails, apart from like lots of food. So yeah, this should be fun.
A huge thank you to Bill and his family for giving us a Thanksgiving we'll never forget. We started off the day watching the local boys play American football in the annual Turkey Bowl. Robin cooked a feast fit for a king and we were made to feel like one of the family. We love you guys. Don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to join us as we drive all the way to Argentina.